These are just some themes that we as a committee noticed when we were looking at what we ended up with after many rounds of straw polling. So here are our big ideas. And this is just a reminder, if anyone is coming in late, to please enter your questions or comments in the chat. So here's some of the big ideas. Leveraging federal and state transportation dollars for stormwater, bridges, and transit. So many of the projects do that. Building safety and connectivity for people walking and biking along critical corridors and arterials. So the idea behind this is there's already people who are making their way along these roads and walking in the dirt and mud alongside fast-moving traffic. And so it's really important for us to build that infrastructure. A third idea was accelerating access to parks and schools for underserved neighborhoods, and there's some really exciting projects there. And finally, hearing what communities want and providing needed infrastructure, and that's a lot of that community-driven, neighborhood-driven, those neighborhood-driven efforts. So looking at these kind of one at a time, the projects that are loosely under this unofficial category of leveraging federal and state transportation dollars. This is a failed bridge on Fowler Mill Road, I believe. And you currently cannot pass here because this bridge is not safe. So a couple projects here, some examples: live stream and culvert replacement and Winterville stormwater replacement. In the foreground is some clear stormwater issues, or in the background is some stormwater issues, and then in the foreground is a solution, and that was an image provided by Transportation and Public Works. And then the background image is provided by the city of Winterville. Another project to leverage federal and state dollars, ACC Gov Transit Operations, is Project 27, and that's really to continue fare-free transit. So we got some money from the CARES Act during COVID to have fare-free transit, and we're putting forth some local dollars to continue that effort, and we're supposed to get some additional federal dollars as well. So those are a couple of examples of leveraging these transportation dollars. In addition to transit operations, there's a project called Electrify the Fleet. We talked about live stream culvert replacement. There's bridge improvement program. We have a lot of bridges that are not doing well. Winterville stormwater improvements, as we said, and I added this, but the Athens in Motion bike and pedestrian master plan. So some funding to build out high priority bike pathways and sidewalks, multi-use paths. Another category, another big idea that emerged after we came up with, as we came up with our candidate project list: safety and connectivity along critical corridors. This image in the background is Atlanta Highway at Briarcliff Road, and there's a social path along here because there are folks who do use this every day. But another example of such a connectivity project is the Lexington Road bike and pedestrian improvements. So that would include a multi-use path from Gaines School Cherokee to the Firefly Trail, which means you could get from Gaines School Cherokee all the way into downtown on a multi-use path. So something that is separated from the road that people could use walking, or people could use biking or other micro-mobility. But there's more than that in this category. There's building a sidewalk on the south side of Lexington. And there's a TSPLOST 2018 project for this as well. So this project number 54 would provide additional funds if there's not enough money there. And there's a sidewalk gap. And finally, one of our arterials, Timothy Road, Project 30, bike and pedestrian safety here. Our third thematic category, accelerating access to parks and schools. These are some of our maybe more exciting projects, because a lot of these you'll see make use of things that are geographically close to each other, but you can't get from one to the other because there's a road in the way, or a dangerous railroad, or even like a stream or something like that. And so one example is this was a community-driven project, is the Gospel Pilgrim Cemetery Greenway connector. So connect the historic Black cemetery to Walker Park. And the folks who operate and maintain the cemetery are fine with this connection. The cemetery and Walker Park, they are back to back. There's just a railroad in the way. So this would put an underpass there. And of course, along 4th Street, we do have sidewalks on both sides of the road. And further down, there's the Boys and Girls Club, and then there's Howard B. Stroud. And so this is a great opportunity to connect those things that are really very, very close on a map, but difficult to get to. So imagine the kids being able to go through the cemetery and visit this great park, Virginia Walker Park. Similarly, project number 67, expanding access to Sandy Creek Park via multi-use trail, would create a back entrance to Sandy Creek Park via Nowhere Road, because Nowhere Road is very close to Sandy Creek Park. But if you want to get, if you live off Nowhere Road and you want to get to Sandy Creek Park, you have to go all the way down Nowhere Road and back up 441. So this is a project that makes a whole lot of sense. And a third example of a project providing connectivity is Beach Haven to Sycamore Drive Greenway. This project would connect Sycamore Drive, which is off of Atlanta Highway, used to be Epsbridge Road, with Forest Heights, Brooklyn, Hampton Heights, by beginning to build out the Greenway along the Middle Oconee. So this exists in the Greenway master plan, and it would also provide facilities along Sycamore Drive itself, where there are many, many residences and many folks who are walking already. There's some additional projects in this category of accelerating access to parks and schools, finishing out the Firefly Trail. So we have a complete off-road multi-use path from Winterville to downtown is on here. Of course, we talked about Beach Haven and the back entrance to Sandy Creek Park, but also building out the Greenway along the North Oconee, MLK Drive, putting in a gap there. There's a J.J. Harris Greenway connector, which would provide access to the elementary school for folks who live off 29, so Pine Woods and whatnot. We said Gospel Pilgrim, and then Fowler Drive pedestrian safety improvements. So the final thematic category that emerged after we had voted and came up with our candidate project list for TSPLOST is hearing our communities. And this is a really big one. I was on TSPLOST 2018, and we had about 5 community project submissions. And with this TSPLOST, we had, as I said, 2/3 of them. And it takes a lot of effort for communities to come forth and ask for what has been missing when they don't feel heard and they haven't felt heard for so long. So along those lines, an example of one of these projects is Westchester pedestrian safety improvements. So this is along Westchester and Chalfont. There's actually a couple roads back here, but the main one is Westchester Drive, and you can see there's a dirt path here. There are 3 bus stops along this road and no sidewalks, and people have to dodge trash cans. And we've got some improvements coming to Tallahassee Road, which is just to the right of this screen, including the Tallahassee Road Bridge improvements. That's SPLOST 2020. And actually, that was SPLOST 2000. It was TSPLOST 2018, and then there's a multi-use path from SPLOST 2020 that's eventually coming. So it all makes sense. Another example, Oldlberton Road Sidewalk. So this is a small project with big impact. It would connect this one bus stop that's off of that connects the north side circulator route to Coyle Middle School. So right now, if you're a parent and you have a conference or you need to go talk to a teacher, you have to get off at this stop and then cross this, and there's no sidewalks along the road. So that's a small project with a lot of value. And finally, another example is East Athens sidewalk improvements. But along with that, they had some projects for ramps, crosswalks, and lighting in the East Athens neighborhood. So again, when we say East Athens, we don't mean East Side, we mean the East Athens neighborhood specifically, which is between roughly between the river and the loop, and a little bit over the loop. So we talked about in Hearing Our Communities, we mentioned Westchester, but also Stonehenge. That project made it into this list. We have several projects in North Athens neighborhoods on here, like traffic and speed safety, pedestrian safety. We talked about the old Oldlberton Road sidewalks. Hull Road would provide a sidewalk to basically to Athens-Tech, connecting folks who live on Danielsville Road and roughly North Avenue to Athens-Tech. And then several East Athens neighborhood projects. And there's a lot here, but this is not very much money. This is only about $2.5 million. So they just decided to break out their needs into several small projects. All right, so we went through and talked about the thematic ideas behind our candidate project list, and I'm just going to point out where you can see everything, because not everything fits into any of those themes. And again, I mentioned this at the beginning of the session, but the best place to look is to go to ACC.gov TSPLOST 2023. And again, on the website, you can see all the TSPLOST projects that were submitted, but I want to draw your attention to, where did it go? To the most recent list. So you can see our final recommendation here. And again, this is kind of a draft write-up. So the mayor and commission are going to take a look at this list, and we're going to figure out what's the best thing to call all of this. And we're going to come up with some descriptions. This is a very abbreviated description. So you can take a look at that and see everything that is on our draft, or on our, it's the committee's final list, but it's still a draft list for the mayor and commission, because they're gonna get in there and hack at it. I don't mean to say hack at it. They will gently trim, or they will gently cut, right? No, they're not going to cut it all. They'll just take it as is, right? We'll see. And you can, if there's a project that interests you and you want to learn more about it, you can see the full project description and even the presentation as well. And then another great resource that's on the TSPLOST website is the candidate project map. So if you're curious where projects are, if there's any in your neighborhood and you don't want to read through the project descriptions, you can use this wonderful tool put together by our GIS department. And I want to draw your attention to the tabs. So right now, this is every single project that was submitted. But if you go to the rightmost tab, and you might see it as 3 dots, you can see the candidate projects, and that's the most current list. So the most current list that reflects the advisory committee's recommendation is the candidate projects. And there you will see all the projects that have a specific location. Now, some projects are not location specific. But this is a great place to click around, and you could spend a good bit of time here. And they've been nicely broken out by type. So here's your bicycle pedestrian related projects, scrolling down, public transit related projects, and then roads, bridges, stormwater. So this is a wonderful tool. And I have to say, when I was on TSPLOST 2018, we did not have such a tool available. So it's just a great, very helpful resource. All right, a couple more slides before we move on to questions. Again, I said there are some projects that don't have a specific location. So these ones here have multiple locations in Clarke County, like the Bridge Improvement Program, Culvert and Live Stream, pipe replacement, Historic District street signage. This is a very small project here. Bike corrals. So these are places for folks to park their bikes, another smaller project. Pedestrian accessibility improvements, and then the Athens in Motion bicycle and pedestrian network alternate project. There are a lot of locations mentioned in there, but those have not been determined what will be built just yet. And then there's projects with broad impact across ACC, like electrify the fleet, transit expansion citywide with express service, and then transit operations. Some important dates. We will have another public forum next Thursday, January 13th, 6 p.m. It will also be on WebEx. Again, we had originally wanted to do one of these sessions in person, but due to the pandemic, we think it's best to just do it virtual. And what's nice is a lot of folks can tune in from the comfort of their homes or offices. And the Mayor and Commission has already had one public hearing, so but there's a second one the Tuesday after our second public forum. So that's on Tuesday, January 18th. If anyone wants to just take their comments directly to the Mayor and Commission, you are welcome to do that. The format that was used during the last public hearing is the commission meeting itself was virtual, but a space at City Hall was provided for folks to come in one at a time and leave comments at the podium. And that might be the format chosen this time, I'm not sure, but probably. As far as the timeline goes, the Mayor and Commission have until February 1st to approve the final project list. So at that point, we'll know absolutely what is on going to be on the TSPLOST 2023 referendum. And they will formally make the call for a referendum February 15th, and then we will all get a chance to vote yes or no on Tuesday, May 24th, later this year. So we can begin sales tax collections if you all say yes in early 2023. Again, you can get all TSPLOST 2023 info from the website, a lot of good stuff there. I want to thank our TSPLOST project submitters for their photography, as well as Bike Athens, especially that one of the sidewalk in front of the Dollar General on Lexington Road that just ends. Love that picture. And I do want to thank ACC Gov staff. Like, these are paid professionals, but you know, they had to sacrifice time with their families and after work hours to keep this TSPLOST rolling. So thank you to the SPLOST office, the GIS office who put together the maps, public information who's been getting out our numerous videos, and all of the ACC departments and offices who provided technical expertise during project review and presentation. So they had to look at all 91 submitted projects and evaluate them. And then they also, many of them also attended presentation meetings. So they were here with us until like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. So definitely thank you all. I know you're paid, but I also know that it's something of a labor of love. So thank you for your service. And yeah, thanks from the committee. We're all here. And so I will stop sharing my screen and we will begin to address questions. Again, if you do have questions, please place them in the chat. Committee members, if you want to respond to a particular question or have some additional feedback, please just raise your hand like we would do during our virtual meetings.
Thank you, Lauren. We've got 4 call-in users, so they can't, I guess, put in chat from a phone, more than likely. So for those that have called in, if you have comments, I'm going to go through the list since there's only, well, actually 3 of you. I'll unmute you one at a time and call on you. All I can see is the prefix of your phone number, 706, and then the 3-digit, and give you a chance to voice your comments or ask questions, and then we'll move on to the next one. So just bear with us if you happen to be third in the list. So first one is the first is 706-248. And if you'd like to ask questions or make comments, you're unmuted now. Okay. No comments or questions, and I'll mute you again, put you back on mute, and go to the next one. So the next. Okay, so the next caller is 706-372. You're unmuted if you've got questions or comments for the TSPLOST committee. Okay. So the third caller is 706-742. If you've got comments or questions for the committee, you're off of mute now. Okay. Looks like we don't have any comments or questions.
All right, I'll pull up, I guess maybe just the dates. What time? So again, these are important dates. If anyone is watching a recorded version of this public forum, and again, you do want to come and give us some feedback, we do have that next public forum next Thursday, January 13th. And again, the mayor and commission are having a public hearing on January 18th. And you can also write your commissioner and share some thoughts. And other than that, we're excited about the possibility of this TSPLOST and what it means. It's a great time to be planning transportation in Athens because we do have the federal infrastructure bill coming forward. And I do just want the public to know that there's still a lot of moving pieces with that and stuff we're trying to figure out, or that staff and our elected representatives are trying to figure out, like what money we're going to get and who's it going to come from, and will we get it or will we have to apply for it? So, and that may also dictate what the final TSPLOST project list looks like. But the mayor and commission will have to make a decision on that pretty quickly. So again, that deadline is February 1st, so we should know soon. But that's all we have. Any parting thoughts from committee members? All right.
I'm just glad to serve.
I'm glad to have you serve, Daryl.
Good to see y'all's faces again.
I know, it's been a while.
Everybody has a good year.
Yeah, it's been a
That's a
while.
lot to hope for, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you all again, though.
Good to see you. Okay.
Thank
Well,
you, Lauren.
Thank you all. That concludes our first public forum. So I will see you all next week, same time, same place. So be on the lookout for our next link. And I have been sending out again the official event stub that's on the ACC Gov website. That way folks can see their options for dialing in versus linking directly to WebEx. I think that's useful. All right. Have a good night.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Keith. And thank you, Ashley, for being here. And thank you, Robert. Okay.
All right. I'll get it buttoned up. Yeah.
All right. Do you need anything else from me, Keith?
You're good.
Okay. See you next week.
All right. Have a good evening.
Bye.